So there are two crucial news stories that have been exposed recently. The first is that President Trump has said Israel would be the leader of any strike against Iran if the nuclear talks fall apart. And so this is a very significant shift from the past of American administrations kind of hinting at what might need to happen with Iran. But he's now speaking specifically about doing a strike on Iran. So this is a significant shift, and many are talking about this becoming reality now, or moving closer to a reality. And then there's a second part to this story as well, which is that in a rare kind of moment, top Iranian officials have told Khamenei that he is at very significant risk of the regime falling. So the story is that in a rare intervention, Iran's supreme leader Khamenei was urged by his officials to allow negotiations with the United States on the regime's nuclear program or risk the fall of the Islamic Republic. So he put on a brave face to the public, but this is what has been leaked as going on behind the scenes. According to a New York Times report, which cited two senior Iranian officials who are familiar with the details, Khamenei held a meeting last month attended by heads of the judiciary and parliament. And those officials, in what the source described as an unusual coordinated effort, pressured Khamenei into accepting talks with Washington, even direct ones. They told him that the threat of military action by the US and Israel against its nuclear sites was serious, and the country is already in economic shambles. It would be forced to respond, and then would also be likely plunged into domestic unrest if it were to go to war, they said. The combination of such events would amount to an existential threat to the Islamic Republic, the officials reportedly told Khamenei. Now, Iran previously rejected talks, but has since relented amid US President Donald Trump's threats. The US has vowed not to allow Iran to obtain a nuclear weapon, and Trump has repeatedly threatened bombing and a very bad day for Iran if no agreement is reached to prevent it. Iran, which has sworn to Israel's destruction, denies seeking a nuclear weapon, but it has ramped up its enrichment of uranium up to 60% purity, which has no application beyond nuclear weapons, and has obstructed international inspectors from checking its nuclear facilities. So you have this on top of the fact that Trump said the following, that Israel would take a leading role in a potential military strike on Iran, along with the US if upcoming nuclear talks don't succeed. The remark came 2 days after Trump appeared to blindside Netanyahu by announcing alongside him at the White House that direct US-Iran talks on curbing Tehran's nuclear program would take place this coming Saturday, a timing that Netanyahu's cabinet secretary said Wednesday had taken Jerusalem by surprise. Asked by reporters in the Oval Office on Wednesday whether he would use military means against Iran if the latter doesn't agree to a nuclear deal, Trump responded, "If it requires military, we're going to have military." Israel will obviously be very much involved in that. It'll be the leader of that, he said, in what appeared to be the first time he's explicitly threatened an Iranian strike by Israel, let alone one led by the Jewish state. Now, here's the thing. Trump is showing more clarity and more strength than previous administrations have done with regard to Iran. But at the same time, there's this talks of, come on, well, let's bring them to the table and negotiate. The problem is that unless bringing to the table doesn't just mean ending their nuclear programs, but ending their decades-old state support for terrorism, think Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis and others, and worldwide Islamist terrorism, if it's not going to include that, then I say Israel has every right to do whatever it is it needs to do to get rid of the Iranian threat. So negotiations can sometimes be a very bad avenue to go down if it doesn't mean that the threat is gone. And as I say, it's not enough for the threat of nuclear war to be removed. But anything you're doing to try and kill our people, unacceptable. So from a moral standpoint of view, Israel should be able to do whatever it is it needs to do to disarm the Iranian regime from hurting Israel and Jewish people around the world. So Just as what they did in Syria recently, you had the regime change and Israel said, we're not taking any chances with this ex-Al-Qaeda new head of Syria, and they went and bombed their military capabilities. Israel has every right to do that. The Talmud teaches if someone rises to kill you, you kill them first. We lament it. We don't want it to be the case that there's all this death and violence, but we didn't start it, to put it in very simple terms. If you're coming to kill me, I have not just a right, I have a duty to stop you from doing that. And for as long as Iran is invested in trying to destabilize, undermine, and terrorize the Jewish people in Israel, then Israel has the moral right, and as I say, not just right, but duty and obligation to stop that threat.
Hi, thank you so much for watching. To watch another one, click here. To stay up to date with all our content, click here to subscribe. And if you're able to, you can help support JTV to grow and grow by clicking join below this video, where you can become a member and get perks including early access to videos and private live discussions with me. But most of all, you'll be partnering with us on our mission to change the world.